let's turn the palms face up today. And begin taking just a few deep breaths, just feeling into your body. And allow everything to get a little slower. It's a funny thing that happens with time. When we start to move into these shifted states of awareness and consciousness, where it really does feel like time can speed up, slow down, stand still, or just kind of seem to not really exist at all. And I invite you into that space where time isn't a factor. There's no thought of what came before or what comes next, but it's truly a practice of being in the present moment. And so even the tensions, even the twinges of sensation, pain, stress, even joy, happiness, whatever came before is before. And notice what happens in this moment. As you maybe feel yourself letting go of that before, letting go of the past. And it's not to say that we forget it or try to bury it or even change it. It's just to feel into the power of this moment, of any given moment. Let's move from this space today. Sometimes it can be helpful to name sensations as you see them arise, feel them arise. But even that, can we just let it all be? Without names, without time. And just watch what comes up as it comes up, whether it's a smile or a tear, whether it's a noise or a big breath, a small breath, a big movement, a small movement. Is really appreciating and watching what shows up in each moment of this practice. Let's bring the hands together. Let the thumbs rest. Allow your body to come into position that feels humble and grateful. And if you'd like, you can set an intention now. An intention that serves this moment. What you need right now. And then just letting your hands come down beside the body. You can plant the fingertips into the mat. Let the chin drop down towards the chest as the shoulders gently draw back. You might walk your fingers a little further out to the sides, getting a stretch down the arms. And then gently starting to move the neck. As you breathe in, start to trace your gaze up. And then exhale, dropping the gaze back down. Inhale to center. And exhale over the right shoulder. Inhale through center. Exhale, left shoulder, smooth movement and transition of breath. Inhale, come to center. And then reach your arms up and out to the side. Flip the palms up, open your chest to the sky. And exhale, round the back. Bring the fingers to almost touch in front of you, chin to chest. Inhale, open the chest, palms up, gaze comes up. And exhale, rounding forward like hugging a favorite person or tree, curl it all in. Inhale, spread it open, lift the chest, lift the gaze, palms turn up. And one more time, curling forward, chin to chest, tailbone under. Come back through center, arms coming out to a T, palms turn down, and then bend the elbows, palms face forward, and just start to pulse your hands back a few times. Opening up across the chest. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, take a big reach at the top. And exhale, raining hands down, walk the arms forward and take a fold. A full breath in that ripples through your body. And a full breath out that settles and grounds. Walk the hands back to the shins and then come on over into a tabletop. Paying special attention to how you align the hands, shoulders, knees, hips, feet behind the thighs, and lots of space in the spine, drawing the tailbone down, the crown of the head forward. And just take a moment here to feel the subtle strength coming into this posture. It comes up a lot in our practice where we look for that balance of effort and ease, and this is a really good place to start with that. A strength, but no rigidity. You can start to feel the subtle action of the muscles and the breath coming together. And then in a really slow cow, drop the belly, gaze forward, breathing in. And in a really slow cat, round the spine, press into the hands and shins, chin draws in. Just 2 more times here, nice and slow. Try to stretch out your breath. Feel the shoulder blades drawing down the back as you exhale, or as you inhale, and exhale, spreading across the back. Just 1 more time on your own. Coming back to a neutral spine and then sitting back into child's pose. Big toes touch, knees can spread a little wider, and stretching your arms out as far as you can. Allow the head to bow down. All the room in the world for you to take whatever movement or breath feels right to you in this moment. We've done so many variations over the years of practice that you can take your own understanding, your own experience into this practice. Maybe the fingers reach a little further forward. Become even more aware of the experience of the whole body in this posture. So not just any one particular part, but really settling in so that you can feel the wholeness of the pose. On your next inhale, come forward into tabletop. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. And immediately moving in whatever way feels right. Big or small, deep breaths or not. And then we'll come into stillness here. It doesn't have to be immediate, but just starting to make your way into a more still version of this pose, where you anchor into the hands And externally rotate the upper arms and shoulders. And then checking back by the feet that the heels are behind the toes, and that there's a little internal rotation of the thighs. Ground into your left foot. Bring the right leg up towards the sky, three-legged dog. Go to the point that you can hold and breathe and find as much integrity in your body as you can. You can point the toes, flex the toes. Point, flex, and bring the right toes back down. Lower the knees, sit back into child's pose for a moment, this time bringing the palms together, elbows stay down, and the hands come in reverse prayer. Settle in, take that exhale to feel the whole pose in the body. Release the arms forward with your breath. Inhale through table, tuck your toes, hands are firmly planted, downward facing dog. Come into your still version of the pose. Anchor into the right foot, left leg lifts. Try to keep the hips square, equal pressure in the hands, the neck is relaxed. Point the toes, flex, point, flex, and bring the left toes back down. Downward facing dog, and take a walk to the front of your mat. When you get to the very front, you can soften the knees, you can hold on to elbows, and take a little sway side to side. Let that momentum slow down, and then bob forward and backwards, saying yes. And then let that movement subside and slow down. And just let the body hang and anchor down into all four corners of the feet as evenly as possible. Maybe press into the heels just a little more. Feel those areas of the legs that really love this stretch tonight. And then release the elbows, bend the knees a lot, and slowly round up to stand. Use your core to anchor in and draw the spine up one vertebra at a time. Challenge yourself to go slowly. And when you do get up to the top, take a couple loops with the shoulders. Open up your palms, draw the fingers down. Breathing in and down. Breathing out and up. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, swan dive, fold all the way down. Lift halfway up, arms to airplane wings. And exhale, refold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Come up with a flat back. Exhale, hands through center to Tadasana. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, swan dive. Halfway lift, arms to wings or airplane wings. Exhale and float it down. Inhale, reverse, come all the way up. Exhale, through center, Tadasana. Inhale, arms sweep up, ground down into your heels. Exhale, release, swan dive. Inhale, airplane arms. This time, hands come to the mat. Step your right foot back and lower the right knee. You could keep the back toes tucked or not, it's your choice. But just taking a moment to let the hips sink down like there's an anchor coming from the pelvis. And then coming up slowly here, hands stay down, but start to lift up through the head and the shoulders and open up across the chest. Open up your palms. Anchor into the legs. Maybe lifting up the chest a little more, protecting the low back, just being conscious of how that feels. Then bringing the hands down and shifting back into half splits. You can untuck the back toe if it's still tucked, take your fold. You can point those left toes, flex the ankle, point, flex, point, and one more time to flex. Walk the hands back, round the left foot, and step back into downward facing dog. Inhale and roll the spine forward into plank pose. Hold here for a moment. Reach out through the heels, get them stacked right over the toes. Balance out the weight in the hands, reach through the crown of the head. Feel the thighs engaging, the belly button lifting up towards the spine. And when it's the spine or the torso here connected to the legs is going to lower in the best chaturanga that you've ever done in your life. So everything lowering down at the same pace, elbows going back, chest is open, come all the way to the mat. Untuck the toes, baby cobra, lift up. Exhale, release. Tuck the toes. We're going to reverse that chaturanga and push up. So as you tuck the toes, feel the thighs lifting off of the mat. Stiff as a board here. This is the only time we'll have that sort of rigidity as we press up. Take a nice breath in. Exhale, push up. Downward dog. Take a nice deep breath. Inhale, right leg lifts. Step through between the hands and lower the back knee. Low lunge on this side, keeping the hands low as you press into the feet, lift up the head and shoulders, open the palms and the chest. Hips are square. Let's take a moment to breathe here. Maybe playing with that small back bend shape. And on an exhale, releasing hands down, shift back to your half splits. Moving with your breath. Your breath is really the only timekeeper here, right? And it's not even really that. It's just sort of showing you the pace, the cue of when to move. Point the toes. Flex the ankle and really explore how the sensation changes as you point the toes, draw them back, and one more time, point, draw them back. Walking forward, step back into downward facing dog. Inhale, roll your spine forward, plank pose, and hold. Come high onto your toes. Shoulders right over wrists and lower down one straight line all the way or halfway down to cobra or up dog. We're going to add in another push-up here. So even if you're in up dog, you're going to flip back over to your plank and then lower down for a push-up and find your way back to downward facing dog. Take a nice cleansing breath here to land. And inhale, left leg lifts. Step through between the hands, right foot meets the left fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, airplane arms. Exhale, refold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, Tadasana. Breathing in and down, anchor into the heels. Breathing out and up, soften the chest. Inhale, sweep your arms out and overhead. We're going to take a side bend, holding onto the left wrist. Step the left foot behind the right and reach up and over. The chest spiraling up gently towards the sky. Breathing here. You can just release, come back to center, and go to the other side. Holding on to right wrist, right foot behind. You can really press into those back toes, into those right toes. And spiral up from the right hip all the way up through right shoulder. And release, come back through center. Step your feet a little bit wider than the hips and just take a little sweep side to side, shaking out the arms. You might let your breath deepen here. Like you're fleeing off any residue, anything that wants to break loose. And then let that movement subside until you come back to center. Step your feet all the way together. Find your mountain pose. Inhale, strong legs, root and rise up with the arms. Exhale, swan dive, fold all the way down. Airplane arms, inhale, strong legs, halfway up. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to your plank pose. Inhale, nice and strong. Exhale, chaturanga. Hover halfway down. Hover, hover, and hold. Chaturanga, true chaturanga. Flip over the feet. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Good job. Inhale, right leg lifts. This time, bend the knee. Open your hip. Breathe. Straighten the leg, step through between the hands, and then come up to warrior one. You'll pivot your back heel down. You can bring your arms out to the sides and up, just for a moment to stretch up and out of the hips. And then bringing the hands down behind the back and interlace your fingers, drawing the knuckles down. Trying to bring the palms to touch if you can. And take a moment to just get into position here. And then we'll move into our humble warrior. Going to the inside of the knee, arms coming overhead if they can. Letting the crown of the head pour down. And staying really anchored into the back foot. Release the bind of the arms, bringing them down to the mat, and then turn towards the long edge of your mat into a wide leg fold. Side lunge into the left leg. Open up your right arm. Exhale, side lunge to the right leg. Breathing in to open the left arm. Go one more time to the back of the mat. You can open the right arm, and then we're going to come into a little funky transition here. We're actually going to come into half moon pose. So you can lift up onto the feet. You're still lunging into that left side, and then you can hover your hands and just start to look where you're going to go. And we're going to make this transition where the whole body is really shifting shapes. You pivot that right foot, land the right hand, and see if you can find your balancing pose. Nice. Now landing all the way back onto your mat for warrior two. Lift up the arms, straighten the legs, turn towards the long edge of your mat again, and then bring your hands to the hips. Take your wide leg fold, hinging from the hips, fold all the way down. Walk forward to the front edge of your mat. Runner's lunge. Keep the left hand down, peel the right arm up towards the sky. Take your twist. From here, we're going to step back into side plank. So ground that left hand, start to roll onto the edge of that left foot, and either step back one step at a time or one big step to stack the feet. Option to lift up that right foot. You can play, you can go where you want to go here. We have one more piece. We're going to step that right foot back into rock star, wild thing, and then lift the hips, finding your back bend and coming all the way around to plank pose. Moving through a flow here. Try to find your true chaturanga halfway and hover. Up dog and downward dog. Lower the knees to the mat. Take just a moment to land in child's pose. Any version of the arms that feels right now. A check-in point to see how you're moving through your practice, to see if there's any habits to tend to. What I've found is that those patterns of tension that we feel off of the mat often comes into our practice as well. So it's really important to take those pauses and just be aware. Make a conscious decision as we go through this second side to tend to those patterns of tension if there are any that are showing up. And really let yourself be in this moment. Letting go of those old ways of thinking, of moving, of even breathing. Every moment is an opportunity to try again. So let's give it a go. Extend the arms. Find your way to downward facing dog. And we'll go to the other side. So anchoring into that right foot, lift your left leg, bend the knee, and open the hip. Take a breath to gaze under the shoulder. Straighten the leg. Step through between the hands, warrior one, pressing down into that back foot. Just a breath or two to extend the arms out and up. A victorious kind of warrior here. And then releasing the arms down and behind the back. Put the opposite thumb on top. Take a moment. Draw the chest open. Try to bring the palms to touch. Begin to breathe into that opening across the chest. Staying anchored in your right foot. Really keep pressing that weight back, and then you'll start to fold forward to the inside of the knee. Release the arms down. Turn towards the long edge of your mat and then lunge into the back leg. Lift the left arm up. Nice. Walk around to the front side of the mat. Inhale, right arm up. And one more time to the back of the mat. You can take your twist. And then making our transition into half moon pose. So grounding the feet, still lunging to that back edge. You can hover your hands and just starting to make that transition first with your vision. Where are you going to go? And then when you're ready, pop on up, open up. Step it back, warrior two. Straighten the legs. This time, let's bring hands behind the back. Interlace the fingers again. Draw the knuckles down, open the chest. And when you're ready, folding down. Arms can lift overhead. Active in the legs, lengthening the backside. Then lower the hands down, stay in your fold. Heel toe your feet wider and wider. And see if you can lower down onto the forearms. Maybe they can even go wider, opening up that middle split. So you go to your extent. The ankles will get a nice workout here as well. Maybe a little lower, find your edge. And we'll come back up onto the hands. Heel toe those feet back together to a comfortable place in your wide leg fold. One more breath here to let the head bow. Maybe crown comes to the earth, maybe not, maybe it's getting close. And we'll walk forward to the front of the mat. Take a step forward and then heel toe your feet apart into Malasana. Sitting the hips between the heels. And taking a moment to elongate the spine. Maybe you close your eyes, just being in this moment. Let the body move and breathe in the way it needs to breathe and move. It's a practice of building trust. And bring your hands to the mat. You can step back into tabletop. And then sit back onto your heels into a child's pose, but with the legs together. And you can bring the hands back towards the heels this time, cupping around the bottom of the feet. Roll forward to the crown of the head into rabbit pose. Pulling from the heels, separating between the shoulder blades. Try to find the very crown of your head. And then lower back down to the heels. Child's pose. Bring your hands right under the shoulders. We're going to come into a tripod headstand. At least the prep of it, you can take it to your extent today, or whatever distance you want to go. But we'll roll back forward onto the crown of the head, just like we were in rabbit pose, and just pause here for a moment. Just start to feel those 3 points like a triangle. The hands are 2 points, the head is 1 point. You might even lift up and just check where your head is landing at so that you have a little distance between hands and head. I want this to be like pretty much almost an equilateral triangle. And just start to feel that press into the head. This is actually a variation of rabbit pose, and it's really great for opening up the crown. But we just want to be listening to the neck as we go forward. If you feel pretty good here, you can press into those arms even more. Feel those biceps, triceps, everything in the shoulders start to activate. And through that press the knees up almost like you would in down dog or dolphin, and see if you can walk the knees to rest on top of the elbows or the backs of the arms. If this still feels okay, maybe you can lift up those feet. And maybe using the core then, drawing those hips up over the shoulders, using a big press into the arms. Not today? Good. It's really interesting, this version of headstand. I know some people find this easier than the other version where you're clasping behind the head, but I like to play with both because it really activates different muscles. And what I notice in this tripod version is it really matters how you place your hands and head, like the alignment of hands and head. So if you do play with it on your own, or if you want to give it one more shot, just playing with that alignment, you might move your hands back a little bit. It kind of makes a wider base for you. Doing okay? All right, let's come down onto the forearms then. And we're just gonna get a nice stretch for the shoulders. So almost like puppy pose, we're gonna walk those arms out, chest starts to melt, palms together, and then bringing the thumbs behind the head. So this is a good place to start in this pose. If you have blocks, it can actually deepen the stretch. So you could put blocks underneath of the elbows, and it gives more space for the heart to melt down. And we're just gonna hold this for a few deep breaths here. So you can play with your variation of it. And then we'll start to release the arms, pressing up onto forearms. Come all the way up into tabletop. And we have one more shoulder stretch before we move a little more into the lower body. So let's take the right arm up into a twist and then thread the needle. Option to bind the left arm. Release the bind. Press into the left hand and open up into your twist. Bind the right hand around the back from your twist and open up that right shoulder. And then just release, right hand comes down. Left arm twists open. Thread the needle. Binding right arm around the back. Try to keep the hips in the center of the mat. Release your bind. Open up to your twist. Bind that left hand around the back here. Open up that left shoulder. And then release. I just realized we missed a little piece earlier, and I really want to add it in here. So let's lift up into one more plank pose. And open up into your right side plank. Right hand down. Option to lift up that left leg. And rock star, stepping back for one more back bend here. Nice open, strong shoulders. And release. Come back around through your plank. Let's find downward dog here. Stretch it all out. Walk your hands back just a couple of inches. Bend the knees, gaze forward. We're going to hop through to sit. So you can cross your ankles. If you remember, there's sort of that midway point. Maybe you can swing the legs all the way through as you come to sit. Nice. That was a great jump. Press into your hands. Sit up nice and tall. Dandasana. Find that staff through the spine. Active. Send those hands up towards the sky and fold towards the toes. Relax your shoulders away from ears. Allow the forehead to bow. Rolling up to sit, bend the left knee, seated twist. Wrap the arm around the leg, left hand back. And then as you unwind, let the left knee drop open, bring the left arm up, right hand a little back behind you. And then reach towards the outside of your right foot. Fold towards the outside of your right leg. Be here now. What's present in this moment? How can you more fully embody this posture? And then rising all the way up, lift that left arm up to the sky and bring it back behind you. And we're going to open up, lifting the hips, lift up that right arm. Just take a little stretch. You can point those right toes and then come to sit back down, and we'll switch sides. Right leg out, or left leg out, right knee in. Take your twist from a tall spine. Gaze can come over the back shoulder. The thing I notice most when people twist is that they jut their chin and forehead out in front of them. So just checking in with the back of the skull and bringing it in line with the spine. And then as you release your twist, you can let that right knee open. Left hand comes out to the side behind you as support, and then right arm comes up. Fold to the outside of the foot and leg. And then release, bringing that right arm up and back. Press into right hand, lift up the hips, point those left toes, and come back down. Extend both of the legs. Extend the arms forward, and one segment at a time, roll down to your back. Reach the arms overhead. Point the toes. Circle the wrists. Circle ankles. Release the fists through the hands. And then draw the right knee in towards the chest. Give it a hug. Draw the forehead to the knee. Curl it in and up. And release the head down. Right leg comes up to the sky. You can hold behind the thigh, or if it's available, you might be able to yogi toe lock around that right foot or right big toe. Or if you have a strap, that could be helpful here too. Either way, we're going to open that right leg all the way out to the side. So left hand can come to the left hip. If you're holding onto the big toe, you could keep going with that. Maybe a strap helps now, or just hold on the outside of the leg to guide it down to the side. Your right hand can be like a shelf, just helping guide it. And a little action out through that left heel, just trying to keep both hips down on the mat. And then we'll guide that right leg all the way back up and over into your twist. Legs are extended. The right arm now comes out to the right. You can hold behind the knee of the left with the left hand. And slowly, with a straight leg, if you can, come back up through center and bring the right foot down. Switch sides, left knee in, right leg down. Just one breath to curl the forehead to the knee and release. Left leg up to the sky, option for that yogi toe lock. Right hand, right hip. Open up to the left side, keeping both the hips down. And slowly up through center, switch sides, let the right hand guide the leg across the body into a twist, and left arm open. You might even be able to reach the outside of the foot here, either with a strap or with the hand, or behind the knee. Take the gaze the other way. Let that twist make its way all the way through the body. And see if you can unwind, bring that left leg back up to the sky. Bend the knee, bend both of the knees. Align the hips on the center of the mat. Hands come by your side for just one bridge pose. Press into the feet evenly. You can interlace hands behind the back if you'd like, or take your variation. Feel the grounding in all four corners of the feet. Bring your attention to your belly as you breathe. Let the exhale extend slightly, finding a moment of pause in between the exhale and inhale. And release the bind. Let the hips come back down. Taking any last pose that you'd like, either right into Shavasana or some other restorative posture that you'd like to end with today. Taking up your space. Let everything go. There's nothing left but this moment now. Notice if there's any urge to hold on to whatever you're experiencing from moment to moment. The body remembers. It's something that you've probably heard me say from time to time. The body does remember. We don't need to cram our minds or take photos of everything, right? Like there are these moments, so many in-between moments that we can just enjoy, and the body will remember that. And remember the way that you observed this moment. I'll guide us out together in a moment. You're of course welcome to stay for as long as you'd like. Move as you feel ready. Whenever that moment comes, you can start to move, to bring in a sense of joy as the life moves through your body. See if you can really move in a joyful sort of way as you wake up. And start to make your way to a cross-legged seat. Bringing your palms together. Find a gesture that is humble and grateful. And take a moment here to close your practice. Send out your prayers, your wishes, your love. And taking a bow. It's a bow that honors yourself, it honors your practice, and it honors one another. Namaste.